Shalom, shalom, Mishpachah. This is Yared Yao checking in. Shalom, shalom, Mishpachah. I hope everybody's doing well. This is Yared Yao, and here is the news. So we all heard that the guilty verdict for Carmello Anthony came back today. And I suppose that sentencing will be later on. I don't know when it will be, but we can really see the controversy being played out. People are talking about how the jury selection was done. People are talking about the negligence in the defense attorneys. People are saying that this was a farce, right? That it looked like a farce trial, or that at least there was incompetence involved. And so we always assume incompetence. We don't ever assume culpability, right? It's easy to say that these people made mistakes instead of were intentionally deceiving, right? Because we think of ourselves as having, a valid legal system that wasn't, do you see what I'm saying, bread and circus. Because that's what we have here, y'all. We have bread and circus. And this particular bread and circus has a point. This is bread and circus with an agenda. You see what I'm saying? And so we talked about this case a lot last year, and we could go over the minutia on how the families on both sides appeared very weird, on how the situation itself, the way it was set up, is set up very strangely. And I think I discussed last year when this was first coming out, how the situation itself is crafted for discussion, right? The details about the nature of the white guy, and then the backstory of the black guy. Do you see what I'm saying? The nuance and the subtlety between this dance of bully and victim, and how the victim can become the bully, and the discussion that goes on behind the scenes at the water cooler is what is fair, who is right in this situation. Do you see what I'm saying? And to add the racial element to the top of that is first-rate propaganda. And again, the timing, right? Right a month before the 250 year anniversary of the founding of the country is, you guys, it's spellcraft. That's what it really is. Spellcraft. It is a well-designed propaganda piece that is put together to affirm white superiority and oppress, if at just mentally, the black population. Do you guys recognize how these things work? How a psychological event plays itself out? And so let's just discuss this. Let's just build the idea, right? And so when we look at these events, you have real death. It can't work without real blood. Why? Why can't it work without real blood? Because it's a sacrifice, you guys. This is what sacrifices look like. It is a modern witchcraft event. And I can't really explain it a whole lot better than that, because this is just the way that it plays out, right? It plays out in such a way that there is a real depth surrounding a racial situation that could go either way, which means that it was crafted to do this, right? And the discussion is part of the play, where you would have normal conversations with your neighbor. Hey, how you doing, Mark or Tom? Oh, hey, how's it doing? How you doing, Marcus? Or, John. You see what I'm saying? Whereas you would have that conversation, you may today skip that one. Do you see what I mean? After this comes down, if you fall on either side, you may not have much to say to that white neighbor or to that black neighbor. Do you understand? This is how propaganda works in society. This is how society is working against you, and you don't know it. And I always hang my hat on this scripture in Revelation chapter 18. And is it verse 21? That the sorcery comes from Babylon, that the witchcraft comes from Babylon, that the blood of the saints is found in Babylon. And this is the way that it works. This is the style of sorcery that you're dealing with coming out of Babylon. Do you see what I'm saying? That you don't even recognize it to be sorcery. You don't recognize it to be spellcraft. But it has an effect on every person. Do you see what I'm saying? Once it's in the news cycle, everyone's thinking about it, everyone's talking about it. They're going to their little pocket groups and discussing it. And we know the black side is discussing it for the black kid, and the white side is discussing it for the white kid. And I know what the black side sounds like, but can you imagine what the white side sounds like? Do you see what I'm saying? These styles of propaganda events have a real effect. You're looking at energizing the white population in ways that you can't even imagine. Do you see what I mean? That's why you have to wonder what huge style of event that they have coming down the pipeline to need this much blood. Do you see what I'm saying? You've got lots of sacrifices for the Trump administration. Can we just start? Can we just start with the amount of sacrifices that the Trump administration has done, in its inception? Can we start with January 6th? Can we start with January 6th? How many people were killed during January 6th, right? Wasn't it that one lady that was killed, that was trampled to death? I mean, that's a sacrifice. That's a sacrifice in the event. The whole event is a groundbreaking event to begin with, the literal takeover of Washington. Do you understand what I'm saying? Of the Capitol. That's an event in itself. And that's just something that happened and people died. And the Capitol Police, right? The Capitol Police that were on duty that day, they start dying too. Not before, like after the fact. Suicide after suicide after suicide. You see what I'm saying? As if they knew something that they shouldn't. And so they needed to be shut up. And so they needed to be sacrificed as well. Just dying, right? And so let's keep on going down the line. I mean, who else we got? We've got the first shooter, Thomas Crooks, whole MK Ultra, experimental victim. He's in a Black Rock video, right? You guys understand that this is a young kid that wasn't going to be able to pull off no sniper shot to hit the president, that's all stagecraft, that's spellcraft too. And they actually killed the so-called shooter, Thomas Crooks. They actually killed him. They didn't fake kill him, they actually killed him. And so that is a sacrifice. That counts. That blood counts. And Trump gets to pop a blood vial, and put it on his ear and pretend to be a survivor. But what does that do to his base? Does it not electrify his base to a fever pitch? Do you see what I'm saying? Do you see how this propaganda works? Do you see the way that it's crafted for the audience, crafted for the people? That there's two sides to it. The spell works just as much on the victors as it does the victims. Do you see what I'm saying? Do you see what I mean? That these Trump supporters are victims themselves? They're victims. Even though they're in charge, even though they have the power, even though they're getting ready to take more power. That's what's wild. They're getting ready to take more power. They're victims too, because they're under that same spell. They're under the same spell. And so Thomas Crooks, right? He's sacrificed on the altar of Trump. And wasn't there another shooter that was also killed? Even recently. How many people have died to keep this thing going, to keep this sentiment going? Do you see what I'm saying? Oh, and don't let me forget the big one, right? The guy that I had never heard of before he was dead. Charlie Kirk, right? Never heard that man's name, not a single day in my life. And now he's the martyr for the Trump movement. Now he's the face of Trump nationalism, you guys. The face of Christianity, too. They were preaching Charlie Kirk from the pulpit during that time. And they were checking pastors to make sure they were preaching about it. They were checking pastors to make sure that's what they were preaching about. If you didn't say something about Charlie Kirk, somebody was checking you. This was the world we were living in. What was that, 6, 8 months ago? That world is not far away from right now. And here's the wild part. Here's the wild part when you look at these events. Charlie Kirk, right? I don't know if you guys have seen this. Charlie Kirk, his death was foreshadowed in a movie called Snake Eyes, starring Nicolas Cage, right? The movie has a culminating scene where a guy named Charlie Kirkland gets shot in the neck at this big event. It's a boxing match, right? At this big event, and dies, right? The whole event happens in the movie on September 10th, you guys. The same day as the Kirk assassination. The movie came out in like 1998. And when the movie came out, Charlie Kirk was like 2 years old. Do you understand what that means? Do you know? Do you know what that means? And check this out. The boxer at the event where Charlie Kirkland, this person gets shot in the neck, and Charlie Kirk gets shot in the neck too, supposedly, right? That the boxer that's boxing, because the event is a boxing match. The boxer's name is Tyler. The shooter, the supposed shooter, which we know wasn't the shooter, name is Tyler, right? So these coincidences are not coincidences. They are hallmarks. They are calling cards to a serial killer who is murdering from the past to the future and doing it as psychological operations. These are spiritual operations, y'all. That's what these are. They're spells. They call them psyops, but their real name is spell because it has a certain effect over you. And because there is a death involved, it's much more serious. It's a ritual sacrifice. And people would act like, oh, a ritual sacrifice to the adversary is that's it is what it is. No, it's going to be used for more than one purpose. You kill the person and then you use that to start an idea. That's the way that the black magic works. You see what I'm saying? It doesn't work on us because we have the spirit of truth. We have the comforter. We have Elohim. We have Yahushua HaMashiach. Yah-O, King of Israel. That's who we have, right? The Father and the Son and the Spirit of Truth. You see what I'm saying? Not all as one. All of them. You see what I mean? With the Father being at the top. That's what we have. We have the Spirit of Truth, so we don't fall for the nonsense. We understand the devil's devices. And this, for sure, is a device of the devil. Do you know what it means that Charlie Kirk was foreshadowed in a movie, that the assassination was foreshadowed in a movie that came out when he was 2 years old? Now, do they make movies the same year that they put them out? No, they write the script, they pitch the movie, they get the funding together, they take it to the studio, they do all of these different things. So usually a movie takes 2-3 years from inception to film, and then from film to release, about 2 to 3 years, right? It may a lot of times even longer than that. So the 2-year-old Charlie Kirk was born to die. They're writing the movie at the same time the baby is being born. So they already know that this particular child is going to be raised in a specific way to do a specific thing on a specific day and a specific time. Do you understand that? That this child was born to die. That means, what that means is that there is a whole apparatus that is operating around you, doing things that they're planning 30 years in the future that are just happening now. That is very, very important. So what's happening in these next couple of days and years and months is crucial to what's going to happen in the rest of time, the rest of America. It's crucial. We live at a crucial juncture in history right now. We live at the defining moment, at the starting of a drastic change in American society, you guys. We are living in the times when this is getting ready to be exposed for what it actually is. You live under a satanic government, and that satanic government is actively operating against you, whether you be white or black. But for sure, if you're black, and you see it played out, and similar to Charlie Kirk. And here's the thing about Charlie Kirk. So this is what's important about that. If you follow that his death was predicted in the movie Snake Eyes, and that this kid was raised to do this thing, that means it's huge. It's important. It's important in the mug, because they've been planning it for 30 years. And not only that the group that was around him actively kept this secret and allowed him to live in this bubble, completely protected and completely organized and encouraged at every juncture in his life in order to do this thing. Now, how do you plan it so perfectly? They're not Elohim, so in my opinion, they've got other Charlie Kirks out there, other movies with other guys' names in them in specific and mysterious ways, and whichever one works out. It's Charlie Smarks over there never did work out. He never did graduate college. We couldn't do anything with him. We couldn't motivate him enough to even get out of school. So forget those references. Let's just go with this guy. Let's go with Snake Eyes right over here. So I think that's how they do it. I think they have several of these guys embedded in society because they run and operate a secret underground cult as it is. These guys have to be monitored their whole life, and the truth about who they actually are and what they are actually born for has to be kept from them. So the entire apparatus around them is operating around him with him not knowing what's going on. Kind of like the Truman Show. And it's terrifying. It's terrifying because when you see that, it means you have this group of people that's entirely motivated towards doing the most evil that they possibly can. And of course, the most evil that they can do is to persecute the people of Elohim, is to trample the saints, right? And that's what they're doing. That's what this Carmello Anthony case is all about, because we're entering into that time. We're entering into a time where it's going to be troublesome for Jacob. I'm hearing it all over the internet. You've got people talking about how they respect Trump for his outgoing understanding of what's going on, for taking away the safeguards, like, you know, some of the DEI programs and some of the safeguards that are in place for minorities. You got people online, black folks online, saying, "Oh, I respect him for that. It's making us pull ourselves up by our bootstraps and get ourselves together." It's just insanity, because people aren't understanding that, you know, you give opportunity because you need to. They didn't just say, "Oh, here goes an upper hand, black folk." No, this is what that generation fought for. That's what the generation fought for and died for, to have those safeguards in society. They weren't just there because white folks was like, "Oh, let's give this black community some safeguards so it'll be more equal and more fair, and so that they can get equal paying jobs." They didn't just start off doing that. People had to die for that, right? And they were forced to do that. Now it's like you don't remember, like people don't matter anymore. "Oh, we need to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps anyway." No, people died so that you could have equal pay and equal hiring opportunities. Now, since you've got some sort of chip on your shoulder, those are gone. But you see, that's how the propaganda works. It works on white folks and black folks. So you start leaning to this side, and you've got a whole conservative society that's white superiority conservative, not just conservative. There's white superiority mixed in with the conservatism, right? A lot. And you hear it out of black mouths. That's why events like you're seeing now with Carmello Anthony and Austin Metcalf, that's why they need events like this, because they can play it as a racial propaganda piece, right? And that's how we know that it's spellcraft, because it's crafted so well that the conversation is steering against black folk. Do you see what I'm saying? It's steering, even from black folk, it's steering against us. "Oh, you should have done this, you should have done that, you should have lied here, you should have done this, you should have handled yourself better, da-da-da-da-da." But not because you murdered somebody, but because who does these white folks think that they are, right? That's the stumbling stone on the white side. I mean, on the black side. And the stumbling stone on the white side is, of course, "Oh, this black guy, this thug, killed a white boy, and now we want blood," right? That's the stumbling stone on the white side. This is why being in America is so dangerous, you guys. That's why you gotta come out of her, my people, so you do not experience of her plagues. This is a plague of the mind, right? And do not partake of her sins. This is a sin waiting to happen, because it automatically sows discord, right? It sows discord. And you don't want to have the police you don't want to have the police celebrating the incarceration of somebody black. You see what I'm saying? You don't want that in your society. You don't want your white police officers celebrating. You see what I'm saying? Because it may cause them, it may motivate them to do some of the things we know that they do. Right? Do you guys remember the twins? The twins that apparently committed a murder-suicide, no reason at all, that were supposed to be going to Philadelphia, but ended up on a mountain, at the top of a mountain in Georgia, 90 miles from where they lived. Nobody investigated the other side. What were they doing going to Philadelphia anyway? What was the plan going to Philadelphia? Do you see what I'm saying? Nobody investigated the police in that area, even though it was a policeman that found the bodies. Wasn't it a policeman that found the bodies? Nobody investigated why they were picked up and how they got picked up and any of that. Or would they be going somewhere else from the airport for? Who could do that but the police? Do you see what I'm saying? Who could scoop up two young black men and take them to some place that they weren't supposed to be going? Who could convince them that they needed to go to the top of a mountain, right? It wouldn't have been each other. What was the indication that either one was homicidal or suicidal? They said that they hardly even ever got into an argument at all. But automatically murder-suicide? Automatically FBI murder-suicide? No, this was a police operation. And they killed those two young black boys. I can't remember their names off the top of my head right now, and that's a shame too, because that's what we were supposed to do on this channel, is not forget those twins. But it was so very obvious that they were murdered by the police. So obvious that they were murdered by the police. No further investigation. You see what I'm saying? That's how you know it's the police to do these things, because of all the open holes in it. The ones that have open holes, like how did they get to the 90 miles away from the airport to on the top of this mountain? Why did they commit suicide and homicide? Why did the twin do that? What was the plan for the trip to Philadelphia? What was all of these different elements? Why are these open-ended questions? Because it was set up this way. It was a police murder. Somebody on the Philadelphia side lured them to go on this trip to Philadelphia, right? Somebody lured them to the airport. Once they got close enough to the airport or whatever, they get pulled over or they get stopped somewhere. They get harassed by the police, who arrest them. And I'm sorry, there's a fly in here. They get pulled over by the police. The police arrest them. And instead of taking them to jail, they take them to the top of a mountain and execute them. Because that's what you do as a Spartan. You secretly kill the helots, right? And that's what this is. They are planning, of course, some sort of huge event where there's going to be some sort of massacre. Some sort of massacre is coming. That's what this is. That's what they're getting people ready for. You have to understand that if they need blood to continue the sentiment down the line, if they need to bring this case up from last year at this opportune time, that means that this crafted event is something that they can't just do anytime they want, or else they'd be doing it all the time. The right people, the right place, the right groups, the right circumstance, the right actors in place have to all go through, or else it will look like what it is. Do you see what I'm saying? So that means this has to be very important. That means they're leading up to something very important. So if people aren't preparing, if people don't understand that the trampling of the saints is a real thing, that the blood of the saints being in Babylon is a real thing, I don't know what else to tell you. What are we even reporting for? If you don't start preparing now, once it starts going down, it may be too late. Do you think they're purging do you think they're forecasting purge for nothing? Don't you know that the police have been caught on body cam preparing for a purge? You guys, if we don't put, there's a peephole up there. If we don't put a stopper in it, the fly comes in here. Flies get in. Don't you know that they're preparing for a purge? Don't you know that that's what they're doing right now? That the police in 2015 in North Carolina, there was 3 cops, and I talk about this all the time. There were 3 cops, and they were in their patrol car just talking about the purge, talking about killing as many black people as they possibly could. Said, yeah, it's going to happen. I can't wait for the day when the storm comes. You see what I'm saying? When the storm comes, they've got names for it. He said he's already buying ammunition and weapons to take a part in it. And one cop is saying, what? What do you mean? And the other cop is just laughing hysterically. Like, ooh, he said it out loud. What we've been talking about on these private chat servers and apps and Telegram channels. Ooh, he said it out loud. You in trouble now. He's just laughing, right? Not recognizing. He's just laughing, not recognizing that he's giving himself away. He's being recorded, and the other guy is almost in disbelief. So that'll tell you it's not everybody, but it's a strong contingent, you guys. It's a strong contingent. And that's what this is about. This is why we see the guilty verdict. This is why we see the clown show circus courtroom. I didn't watch the trial because I anticipated it would be something like this, and I guess I could have done a play-by-play to show you the ins and outs on how you throw a trial. But of course, you can see it. I don't have to explain it because you'd be able to see it. The funniness of it. Why didn't they do this? Why didn't they do that? If they had the best representation they could have, why the strategy? I've even heard that the strategy was off. Do you see what I'm saying? It's crazy, you guys. And there's nothing you can do about it. This is Elohim's will. The destruction of Babylon from the inside out is the plan. That's the plan. And they're busting down the country as we speak. They're taking everything they possibly can. So my advice is to get prayed up, save your money up, and get somewhere. Start preparing for the mark of the beast. Start learning how to farm. Get yourself a place that's ducked off. And if you can, get out of America. This is Yared Yao with Hebrew News.